Hi guys, my name is Noni Matigela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to talk about Brigadier Gininder on this video. Everything, I think about 2 to 3 videos we'll talk about him because there's a lot to say when it comes to him. Anyway, Brigadier Bongani Gininder, overall investigation, findings, and arrest. Bottom line up front, Gininder did not investigate this case to discover the truth. He investigated it to defend a predetermined version of events. What follows is a systematic tear down of work ethic failures, internal contradictions, suspicious procedural moves, and investigative malpractice. Not rhetoric, but structure. That's what we are going to get into when we talk about this. Firstly, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment. And most importantly, please make sure you are subscribed on the channel. Please make sure you are watching the videos up until the end and you are watching the ads that are coming through. When you are doing that, you will be supporting this channel financially and in numbers. Thank you so much. You are very much appreciated. One, let's look at his work ethic. Investigated by convenience, not curiosity. No. He did not use those caps. Now, the curiosity, now, he was using convenience because there was a price. In my opinion, there was a price. Number one, late arrival in the case. That's what we are going to do. And then we are going to talk how he joined, not 2014, but later on 2017, 2018, somewhere, I think 2017. And then let's talk about also the total capture. Let's deal with that, number one. Firstly, Gininder joins years later after the murder, yet assumes absolute authority over the Senzo Meyiwa murder case. Instead of reopening the case with fresh eyes, he locks onto an inherited theory and retrofits evidence to protect it. That's what he did. Retrofits evidence to protect it. Also, a competent investigator arriving late retests everything. Gininder relabels everything. He did not retest. When I say he did not retest, he did not interview the people that were inside the house. If he did, he interviewed only 1 or 2. Is it so hot? I'm sorry. It's so hot. And that alone is a red flag. The red flag that we have also is that late investigators are meant to challenge earlier mistakes. Gininder cemented them. That's what he did. I don't care who says what, even you, Gininder. You know what you did, sir. You know what you did there. You know what you did. Instead of sitting down, ask them questions, what happened, etc., you admitted, I focused on the accused, on the confessions, That's what you admitted to that, sir. Secondly, selective energy. Yes. Do you see when I say he admitted to that and that's what he did? Let's look at his energy towards the case. Extraordinary effort was spent on confessions, statements, suspect who fit the narrative, minimal to zero energy on phone data inconsistencies. He did not care. I think Ezinye Izinto also surprised him. He thought Ezinye Izinto would not even make it to the courtroom. He got very shocked when the cell phone data was exposing a lot. He got shocked. He really got shocked. And I remember, if it was not Mshololo and Nxumalo pushing for the owner of the of Vodacom to come through in a form of Upinki, a lot of things were never going to be exposed there. So bravo to Mshololo and this one, Nxumalo, for pushing Uguti. He must come because we want to hear from them. Because that is when we were crystal clear now, Uguti. I choose number 3's movements. From somewhere past 5 onwards, he was never near Phosphorus. Exactly the time Longwe arrived past 5. And do you understand? The incident happened around 7, 8, 9, all of that time. He was nowhere near the crime scene. Do you understand? So, yes. Okay, Gininder did not calculate those things. Ballistic contradictions. Well, there is a ballistic contradiction of the first ever testing of the firearm that was allegedly found from Ncube when he first got arrested 2015 for a different matter. So those ballistic of them, they never, because the Senzo Meyiwa case never got linked. It doesn't make sense because we heard now from the Madlanga Commission, ukuthi the way that abo Katiso Molefe nabo Ket Matlala were linked, it was true what? Ballistics. They ran something, they IPs, and then it was like, that's the same gun. That's the same gun. And then there was a lot of things that were linking. Why didn't you do the same, Puleka Senzo Meyiwa? Why didn't you do the same? Yes, questionable. And also the police that arrested, or the lead police or investigator for that 2015 arrest for accused number 3 said inside the courtroom, if accused number 3 was involved in the Senzo Meyiwa case, I would have known back in 2014. He is not. What else, Gay? Anyway, let's move to Gininda. I was trying to show you that there's a lot when it comes to ballistic contradictions. And then witness contamination, timeline impossibilities, those ones, minimal zero energy was put on that by Gininda. And that is not laziness. It is directional bias. He was intentional when he was doing all of that. So, yeah. The second thing, contradictions in his own version now. Firstly, the first confession-centric collapse. Gininda treats confession as reliable, independent, corroborated, and in reality, confessions conflict with each other. Even the first confession of Danzi and the second, they conflict with each other. And then they conflict with accused number 1's confession also. And the confessions conflict with objective evidence. The objective evidence is not helping the confessions, or the confessions are not helping the evidence. Okay, so confessions conflict with eyewitnesses inside the house. Undanzi speaks of firearms, etc., but the firearm that was sent by the people in the house, Yazu Chatrata would be unfair. He will need to be impeached should he find this guy is guilty on this nonsense. Honestly, he will need to be impeached really now. And the fatal flaw, if 5 accused confess to 5 different versions, none of them corroborate anything. An investigator who ignores this is either incompetent or committed to a script. Gininda. Like, seriously, sir? Is that what you can come up with? Like, honestly, really? I suka. And then there is also timeline amnesia. Gininda's case cannot reconcile who entered the house, when they entered, how many people were present, who fired the fatal shot. Instead of resolving this, he shrugs, repeats the charge sheet, claims the court will decide. That is exactly what he did. And now the court is about to decide, and he is also getting exposed during the people, sadly for him. This is abdication, not investigation. Mr. Gininda, you did not investigate. You did not. The third point that I want to come into when it comes to him, Gininda, suspicious moves. This is where it gets dark, because the case does get darker. 1, witness recycling. Let's look into this. Same witnesses appear across years. Statements refreshed, versions simply aligned. This is not memory improvement. It is narrative convergence. Once witnesses start sounding the same, condemnation has already occurred. No one can tell you otherwise. Please tell them, I see what is happening here. Now, the second part, the house crime scene abandoned. You would remember Mshololo dealt with this a lot. Gininda never reconstructed the house properly. No full special reconstruction tied to testimonies. Tied to testimonies. No credible shooter positioning. No reconciliation with ballistics. None whatsoever. Red flag, why? Why it matters? A real construction would collapse the intruder narrative, so it was avoided, which is exactly why Makubo and Joyce took the next lane. They were like, we're taking a short left, and they came with 375. That is how it came about. If you didn't understand, that is exactly how it came about. The third point when it comes to this one, we were looking at suspicious movements, right? Now, the third point under suspicious movements, arrest made before contradictions were resolved. Suspects arrested to force coherence, not because coherence existed. This flips constitutional logic on its head. In law, evidence leads to arrest. In Gininda's case, arrests were used to manufacture evidence. Look at how now it comes out they arrested, I choose number one. And then they phoned Gwabini. Gwabini, I do believe he was phoned between early June. Early June, it was the beginning of the month. I want to believe so. It was the beginning of June when they called, because who I choose number one was not yet a Modabi, in my view. In my view, that is exactly that. So, yeah. And then let's go to point number 4, investigative misconduct, structural, not accidental. Let's get into that. Point A, confirmation bias as policy. Every decision answers one question only. Does this support our version? Not, is this true? Not, is it reliable? Not, is it consistent? This case building, not this is case building, not policing. No Gininda. Point B, failure to eliminate alternatives. Gininda never meaningfully excluded inside house shooter scenario, accidental discharge, panic shooting, witness collusion. He did not. He never meaningfully did that. No, it did not happen. I believe in the case 375, all of that has been dealt with. By law, failure to eliminate reasonable alternatives destroyed the probative value of the state's case. In a fair court, Gininda is just blowing what a balloon, don't blowing a balloon, hot air balloon, something, yes, whatever that meant, that means. Now, number 5, overall assessment, no mercy at all. Let's get into this. Gininda as lead investigator. Firstly, independence, captured. In reality, he's captured. Now, there's no way. Objectivity, in reality, directional. Evidence control, in reality, narrative first. Witness handling, in reality, contaminated. Arrest logic, in reality, reverse engineered. Constitutional safety, in reality, everything is unsafe. Point number 6, and this one is my last point when it comes to this video, because wow, Brigadier Gininda's investigation is not merely flawed, it is structurally compromised. This is not about one mistake, this is about a pattern. Decide the theory, select the suspect, pressure the evidence, arrest first, explain later. Isn't that what Gininda did, guys? Isn't that what he did when it comes to this case? And when this case goes somewhere on appeal, this investigation is radioactive and these guys are going to work. It said Judge Rota might perhaps find them guilty because their behavior shows that, but on appeal, they are going to work. They will. Anyway, what are your thoughts when it comes to that? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I will see you on our next video about Gininda. Bye-bye.